All right, all right. Welcome to the podcast, HASSDISCUSSES. We have Sparks Cross Darkness here, and I'm a big fan of his new project with Imaginary Other. That was awesome, and let's just get into stuff that you've been releasing recently, which is that project. How did that project come about, and when did you ever first link up with Imaginary Other?
Imaginary Other, I've known for a few years now. Kind of just met him through the scene. Then he kind of helped rock as kind of like a DJ for me on a couple events, and just a really solid dude. And just I had collected a few beats from him, like actually pre-pandemic, and I had just been sitting on them, but I really wasn't feeling very inspired after I dropped my first record. So I was just kind of had them in my back pocket, and then as the pandemic kind of happened and life happened and shit, I was like, all right, and I started cranking out uh, writing to this shit, and then it ended up kind of fucked up because I don't know if I can curse and shit. My bad.
You're all
I
good.
kind of cuss a lot.
No, you're all good, G.
um, all right, for sure. Yeah, basically, there was some legal snafu type of thing because uh, Imaginary Others part of Imaginary Friends, and they had to like technically change their name. And so because of that, there was some weird shit where some of the beats that I had gotten from him we couldn't use any longer.
Oh
So
yeah,
then we had to
Chewy.
like yeah, so we had to go back and Imaginary Other made some new beats for some of the shit that I wrote, and so it was kind of like a back and forth like towards the end of the, putting because I think only two or three of the original beats we were able to use. The other ones were like pretty recent. And yeah, honestly, it kind of just came together, kind of like I had a narrative in my mind and I kind of just pieced it together, and pretty happy with how it came out. And we've been talking about trying to maybe put out some other shit because of it. I think we were both pretty happy with it. So
Yeah, I know. I was a big fan of it. Like the jet ski one was amazing, and he is a part of like a very vibrant scene. I consider Sacramento to be one of my favorite music scenes that I've just analyzed because there's Chewy, there's Teo Chuga, there's Conron, there's endless talent in that fucking town, and there's also a good one of my
right.
favorite movies is set in that town, Lady Bird. Are you familiar with that movie?
Oh man. Yeah, I'm familiar with Lady Bird, man. I got my gripes with Lady Bird, but it's a little
What's
bit
up
of a
with it?
different Sacramento than what I grew up in. But hey man, it put Sacramento on the map. Anything that does something for Sacramento, I'm all about. But yeah, like you said, I mean, man, there's just so much talent. I know Chewy, I think, is in the South now, like in San Diego area now, but he's from Sac. He's hardcore Sac. He always comes back here all the time and does events and is in the area. And yeah, man, Imaginary Other, Nate Curry, Harris Rudman, Hobo Johnson. I mean, there's a lot of cats that are really dope that are from this area.
Who's the first person from your area? Because you grew up there, right? So like, who was the first person from that area that you made music with in Sacramento?
Oh man. Well, when I came to the scene, I was kind of an outsider. I feel like I was kind of young and I was an outsider. I was kind of doing some more like weird shit than what was really popping off at the time. And so I was working with a cat named Nosebleed, and he was producing for me and shit. And then after that, I started working with this other cat, Joe Human, and we were on like more of like an experimental wave type of shit. And then I was making my own beats for a minute, and then I was working with a band, a few band members, and I worked with a homie named Jason, and I was making the beats, and he was playing guitar and bass. And then I went back to school, and I was living out in San Francisco. I went to San Francisco State. I got my degree in creative writing, and then when I came back to SAC, man, I just Tip Vicious. That's been my homie. That's been like a really close homie of mine, and him and I we just kept writing shit together and performing with each other. Anytime I got a show, I throw him on it. And he's just been kind of like my little cousin or my little brother. Like, that's my family. But he's also honestly one of the dopest cats that I've fucking met out here. And then since then, I mean, it's just, you know, really Imaginary Other was one of the where I put a whole project together. Usually it hasn't been like that. I kind of just got beats from people. I got like some beats from Ben from well, they're from Sacramento, but Chelsea Wolf, he produced some of the beats, and then um Haley Lynch Bastian produced some of the beats on my first record, and then Hobo Johnson did one of the beats, and we collaborated on a track on that first record. So it was just kind of like a mix up of people. And yeah, but this is the first time I'm like trusting a full, you know, a producer to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm usually very like fucking, I wait way too long to put out my shit. I think I'm like my harshest critic. So this shit, I was just trying to be like, all right, like not put so much pressure, just let it be what it was gonna be and just put it out, you know what I mean?
Because it takes a while to like let inspiration to come to you to write something. Because like it's like, first off, there's the writing part, and then there's like the way that you deliver the lines. That's like way harder than writing it, to be honest. Because anybody can write down words that rhyme, but making them like sound good, that's hard. You know what I mean?
Man, that's the trick, man. That's the $1 million trick, man. That's what we're all trying to perfect and try to figure out and
Yeah.
shit. And I mean, some of us are better at it than others, you know, and then we're all trying to like do our own shit, like, you know, do our own style. I mean, like you referenced Chewy, like to me, like he, as far as like the flows that he does, like that fool is just, he's killing it with his shit. But like, you know, like really me, like I'm still trying to figure my shit out, to be honest with you. I mean, I think I just wanted this record to be like a reflection of me, where I felt like my last record I was trying to be somebody else, and it was like, you know, like this record, it was like, all right, I'm just gonna be like as much me as I can be and see how that sounds, and fuck around with what I'm saying and how I'm saying it, and the flows, and the, you know, be funny but be serious, and you know what I mean?
Because it's hard to like also add charismatic energy to it, and I feel like you have good charisma when you deliver. So shouts out to you for that.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, bro.
So
Yeah,
like
it takes
yeah,
a while, man.
it does. Yeah. But when's the first time you ever wrote a song, and what was that about? If you remember that, because that's probably a hard thing to remember. Yeah.
The first time I ever wrote a song, I was in high school. I was probably like a junior in high school, and it was on some like, I was listening to too much Eminem and Bizarre, and like this, like, you know, like that shock rap type of shit. And I was just making some stupid shit talking about like shoving my tongue into a light socket and shocking the shit out of myself. And I don't even remember, just some like dumb shit, just so like, you know, but I was trying to make it sound cool. And then like my friend heard it and he's like, "Oh, that's so tight," you know, but he didn't know shit about hip hop. But it's,
Yeah.
you know, but it's still cool. It's like, all right, cool. Maybe I got something here. Maybe I can, you know, do that shit. But it's been a long journey to get where I'm at right now, man. I mean, definitely that old shit was pretty trash. It's pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, you know, you got a degree in creative writing. Why? Well, you know, how was that? Like, why get that degree, and like, how has that helped you to make music?
Yeah, well, honestly, you know, I was working at a record shop for a period of time, and all I was doing, man, was like getting high and making music, getting high, making music, playing shows, getting high, making music, playing shows. And like, you know, I just felt like I wasn't fucking going anywhere, and I was still at a record shop, and I still wasn't making no money. And I was just like, man, like, you know, I don't know, like I felt creative, but I was like, I need to level up. So that's why I was like, well, if I'm gonna go back to school and spend all this money on something, I'm gonna get a degree in something I actually give a fuck about. So I got it in creative writing because it was like, you know, that's what I'm trying to do with my life. So regardless of whether or not, you know, it's my profession, it was something that I was gonna be doing. So yeah, it was just, and it was great. I mean, I got to study poetry and playwriting and short story form and prose and all kinds of shit. And I mean, all of that really applies to being a creative, or at least like if you're trying to create like words or songs,
Yeah.
like all that shit helps. So
What was your favorite piece of literature to study while at the college?
We studied a lot. Man, I was so tired of reading and shit.
Yeah,
But I mean, honestly, it was usually the poetry. I mean, um, man, I can't. It's really hard for me to say like a favorite piece of mine. Actually,
favorite poet. How
um,
about that? To study in that school.
so man, I would say maybe E. E. Cummings. I
Ooh.
mean, there's a lot of other poets I really enjoy, but the way that E. E. Cummings was like playing with his words and like how he would play with the form on the page, and kind of like the way that he, the way that he had with words, like he was actually one of the first writers that I really liked, and I got a couple of his books in high school, but as you study the art form and you study other poets, like you kind of like even get more of appreciation for like some of the poets that you know what I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
that
yeah.
you're kind of like more drawn to anyways. But honestly, man, I poetry is such a beautiful art form and it's really underrated. Like people don't
Yeah.
fuck with poetry as much as I feel like they should, you know?
What I think about that is like in a lot of older, either older literature or like older stories or films or films set in older eras, you really kind of see how like poetry used to be like how people view rap music now, where it was like not really like respected as much as like reading a book, where like rap music isn't as respected as like listening to like classical sounding music. So for instance, I was watching a film Chocolat, which is one of my mom's favorite movies, and there's a scene where some like rich kid with like a stuck up parent is hanging out with the estranged grandmother, and the grandmother gives him like violent poetry like Edgar Allan Poe, and he's reading it, and it's all about like the raven and all of the or the one with the dead bodies under the floorboard and stuff like that, and they're like, oh, this is some crazy whack stuff and all this stuff like that, and I'm thinking like, oh, that's like your uncle showing you like a Biggie record. You know what I mean? If it's the same
Right.
mentality, and I've always like loved to compare like things of old in older times and how they compared to now. You get what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's just
man. I
different,
mean, no,
but the
definitely.
same.
I mean, I think poetry, to me, like poetry is like it's the foundation of what hip hop is. I
Yes,
mean, really,
yes.
like and then it's really cool to, realize that back in the day, like poets used to write poems about each other. Like they would spend like a week or 2 weeks, a month, whatever, and they would basically essentially battle. And then they
Ooh,
would like come up with like one topic, and then they would come up, recite it in front of people, and whoever like liked the poem more, that was the winner. So I mean, really, like it's kind of funny that like in the hip hop world, it's like it's kind of on a similar wave. I mean, now it's more of like a disrespect, but I mean, it's on a similar wave as far as like if you got the punchlines, you got the flows, you sound good, you can, bring the charisma in a crowd, you're probably gonna win that shit. But you know, I don't know. Yeah, I fuck with poetry heavy. I mean, I think it's the reason that got me into hip hop, really.
yeah. And what I would give advice to any like up and coming artist is like I've seen Teo Chuga do this, who's like a Vacaville artist, which is near Sac, and he told me that he went to a poetry slam and like did like an acapella of a couple of his songs. I'm not saying like go and sing there, but like test out the waters. Like, have you ever been to a poetry slam?
Man, it's funny you say that. That's actually what kind of got my foot in the door of like live performances. Is I got into the poetry slam scene, and that was when I was early on as a writer, and those were my first couple events. Is going up there doing a poem, like more of like a slam poem piece, but it was more like rhythmical. Like, well, I mean, not that they're not rhythmical, but like
Mm.
it was more of like a rap, I would say, like in certain aspects, and like so. Yeah, man, I did that for a while. First couple years of me like performing was predominantly like poetry slams and shit. So yeah, I agree. I mean, why not? You got a verse, you got a song, go out to an open mic, go to a poetry slam, fucking do that. Why not? Get the practice?
What moves did you make after you graduated college? Like, what moves with your
What
life?
move what moves?
Yeah.
Honestly, man, I just kind of took it upon myself, and like, my circle obviously was supportive and, helped me. But I just took it upon myself to put on shows, man. I was like, no one's trying to book me for a show, so I guess I gotta just book myself for a show and then book other people around me and just throw these shows. And not all of them are knockout, success, but I mean, shit, man. I put together some pretty damn good shows. I mean, and I did my best. I tried to make it always like a low obligation situation for the other artists where like I wasn't saying you got to sell 20 tickets, you got to sell 25 tickets, and you owe me $300 if you blah blah blah. Because mess with other venues, they get a lot of these artists and they kind of screw them over. They really manipulate them and
Yeah.
then take advantage of them and shit. So I would always wanted to be just kind of like the dude that was just kind of like putting on for the scene. So I really just kind of did that. And then it kind of grew into like, I had people hit me up and like, oh, like Billy Woods is coming to town. Can you try to, help him get a spot? Serengeti's coming to town. Can you help him get a spot? Blueprint coming to town. Can you help him get a spot? And, it just kind of, but it was cool because then I got to share the stage with a bunch of people. Milo, I got to help put on one of his shows. Um, so it was cool though, because like these are cats that I would feel like are on a similar wave as me as far as like creativity. Maybe that they obviously have more of a following than I do, but I'm building my way up. And so it was cool, man. That's really all I did, is just like I had to kind of just hustle and just put myself on, because nobody else is gonna do that shit for me.
Yeah. What's your favorite songs to perform?
Well, right now, Uh, Crazy, the one that I did with Tip Vicious. That one is really a fun one. We put that out this year too. Um, and I do this song called Phoenix, is on my last record, and it's about my grandma, and it's just I have a lot of like unresolved feelings and issues with how all that kind of happened when she passed. And it just it helps me, it makes me cry. I just did it on my last show and I cried. And
Yeah.
but it just it feels good in a way too, like it's like therapeutic.
No, that's good. That's powerful, man. That's powerful. Um, I seen you with a picture with on a MF Doom mural. What's your favorite MF Doom album?
Oh shit, that's really difficult. I'm a big Doom head. I think that's another reason why me and Imaginary Other really get along, because we're both like big Doom heads. And like, even the whole idea behind this record was like I wanted to pay homage to MF Doom, and that was actually before I even knew he was dead. I was working on that idea of like I just want to pay homage to him, like make some short songs but that are dope and filled with good lyrics. And um but anyways, Mad Villainy, the one that he did with Madlib, is
Yeah.
probably my favorite MF Doom record. But I mean, honestly, man, the whole catalog is pretty fucking dope. Like he's got so much heat that he's put out in all different aliases and ways. But yeah, man, he was like a hero, man. He's like my Batman. Like he's like,
Yeah.
that's my dude.
Are you a fan of Madlib's album with Freddie Gibbs, Pinata?
That's a good one. Yeah, Freddie Gibbs is killing it. I mean, he's working with all these world class producers, and
Yeah.
just he's always on point. And I mean, there's not much you could say about the guy that's negative. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, but nah, Madlib is like one of those dream producers. Like,
Yeah.
if you could ever get a Madlib beat, like that would be like some fantasy shit. But
Yeah. Like what I like about like that album is like it's simultaneously like very like you could show it around people like normies who like normal popular sounding music and they'll like it, but it's also like very like artistically like interesting. Like there's a lot like some of the songs have like cliffhangers, like deeper. I think he has like some line about how he was like with some girl and she ended up dating an astronaut or some shit, or like a scientist or some shit, and then he like ended up like at the end of it, he was like, who's the real baby's who's the baby's real father or some type of shit. Like he like he just has a good, like, what artists that you fuck with are good storytellers.
That are good storytellers.
Yeah.
Man, Nas's Illmatic is like always one of those albums that I just always constantly spin. I feel like Nas is a fantastic storyteller on top of just being a great MC, like as far as the rhythms that he uses and, the wittiness that he has, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But man, I don't know. That's a really hard one. Also, honestly, also kind of Kanye. He's kind of crazy sometimes, but I mean, honestly, like, man, I don't know. Like, he'll talk about shit, and I'm like, oh, this is like probably some real shit that just happened. But
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I mean, honestly, the art form. There's so many good storytellers in hip hop. I mean, I think that's part of what draws an MC or a rapper to do it, is like you're trying to tell your side of whatever story or whatever message or whatever experience you had, but those are just a couple that just came to mind.
Someone was like critiquing Kanye and was like, oh, he's like, if a artist and painter only did self portraits, and it's like, what's wrong with that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's his music.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't hate on that.
Yeah. Hey, well, so did Frida, and I fuck with Frida, so I mean, I don't know. Like, what I mean?
What's
Like,
Frida?
oh man, you gotta check her out, man. She's one of the dopest Hispanic female artists ever, bro. Frida Kahlo.
Is it with a D?
Dope. Frida. Frida.
Oh,
Yep.
wait, there must have been a movie about her. No. Was there?
Yeah, there's been a movie about her with Selma Hayek. She portrayed her.
There we go. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, man.
Well, these are cool paintings. Oh,
Yeah, man. She's
yeah.
dope.
She does kind of look like Salma Hayek. Salma Hayek's eyebrows are a bit different, though. But I mess with that.
Yeah.
This is cool. Shit. What other, like, art painters or artists do you mess with?
Man, well, obviously, as you can probably tell, I mean, the art piece on my music is like really important to me. Like all the shit that we put out, or I put out, is really important as far as like try to have some good art backing. But like as far as like local artists, like Sean Berner is really dope. This piece actually up here is the Sean Berner piece.
Nice.
Yeagel's really dope. This is a MF Doom print. Yeagle is the guy who did a bunch of MF Doom art. But I mean, honestly, growing up, like Dali, Jackson Pollock, Basquiat, it just kind of depends.
No, I feel that. That's cool though. Like, you're real into that. I gotta get into that because I don't. Like, I have like posters, but I don't have art. You know what I mean? Like, I have the movie poster, but anyways, that's cool as fuck. But I got a question about, like, your opinion on like a newer album or something like that. What album that hasn't been nominated for a Grammy do you think should be nominated or win? That came out this year. It could be any underground album, or it could be a newer album that didn't get a chance to get up there.
I don't know if it was nominated, but Vince Staples' new record is really dope. I think it's really good. There's a couple of the tracks on that record that I've just been listening to kind of nonstop since it dropped. I don't know if it's nominated, but I don't know. That shit is like, it's, fucking the Beatles, random people, like, you don't get the best records, like, Radiohead's Kid A didn't get nominated, like all kinds of didn't win. I don't know, man. It's all a rouge. It's not really like what's the best, like, oh, you win the award and that means you were solidified as the best piece of art. I think like Led Zeppelin, I don't even think they won one and shit. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is you look at the biggest hip hop, I'm not even gonna say arguably, but the biggest rap artist ever, or of the recent years, Drake. He removed all his shit from the Grammys. Like, he didn't care. He doesn't care. He removed his albums from the Grammys because it doesn't matter to him. You know what I mean? And he said, I think he won a Grammy, and he said all this doesn't matter if you got people that are going to their normal 9 to 5 work jobs and they're listening to your music, or even your family members listening to, or friends listening to music. That's what matters. This award doesn't matter, and that was powerful.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I think, it really doesn't fucking matter, dude. Because at the end of the day, like, whatever dope record you make, even like on my wave, I'm not Drake, I don't fucking know if I'll ever be at that wave, but I mean, even where I'm at, I mean, it's just more important to make the art and put it out there for the world, and hopefully other people fuck with it. I mean, obviously, like, you fuck with it, like, there's other people out there that are fucking with it, so that's more important to me. And I think like Brew had a line in the record where he's like, he's talking about like how it was never about the fame.
Yeah.
I kind of like that he put that in there. It just kind of fit. But yeah, man, I don't know. I'm all about the creativity. I'm all about the artwork. So I'm just trying to get better at not being such a fucking anxious, like, overthinker, and just putting more music out there to the world, bro. Just that's what I've been trying to focus on this year, especially post pandemic, when I was like, man, life is short. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have time to be bullshitting. Like, I need to be putting some stuff out.
Yeah, you can't be that guy that has 1,000 unreleased songs. You know that one guy, I'm the archetype of your guy. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like that's
I know plenty of those motherfuckers.
Everybody knows a guy that makes like 5,000 unreleased songs or stuff like that. But anyways, what music you got planned coming out the next couple months that you could speak on?
So the next record that I'm trying to drop is another EP project. It's actually produced by Matty A. And I actually kind of found him through Imaginary Other. And so it's gonna be like more of still like that, like sample driven, like soulful, like bumps in your car, real nice type of shit. So I'm working on that project. I'm gonna call it Hella Guapo. It's gonna be the Hella Guapo EP. And aside from that, I have a single with the New York artist Lior. It's more of like a poppy, kind of like indie vibe, but I do like a guest verse on it, and it's really dope. It's a really like hopeful song to end the year on, so we're supposed to be trying to drop that before the end of the year. But yeah, man, those are probably like the next two in the pipeline.
That's what's up. I'm hyped to hear it, and thanks for coming on the show. Is there anyone you want to shout out, or are there anything before we wrap this up?
Man, just would like to shout out my kids, my wife, my family. In the Sacramento area, I'd like to shout out the homies Tip Vicious, Boney J, Alex Salveson, Iris Skinner, Imaginary Other, Matty A again. I don't know. There's too many people to fucking name, but
yeah.
I just appreciate all the people that are fucking with me and that are listening to me, and I got more shit on the way, and I just really appreciate your time and fucking having me, man.
Of course, man. Thanks for coming on the show. Link in the description to your social media and music, and peace out.
All right, bro. Take care.